So let's talk about usability goals. Remember I told you that there are actually some tried and true methods and tried and true guidelines for all this stuff? Okay, I told you that like half an hour ago, right? So these usability goals, these are the usability goals that I want you to refer to in Forum 1. Remember, they need to be explicit. And these actually are pretty straightforward. Now, even though I have them listed here, I'll go through them quickly. I actually have the definitions in a separate document, in a Word document. It is in your lecture slides folder in Moodle. I kept it separate actually because that is what your former students requested. So you don't have to open up this big PowerPoint. You have one nice page. So when you're doing your forum post, and you will also be using this in assignment 1, by the way, it's right there, easy to see. So what are they? Usability goals: effective to use, efficient to use, safe to use, have good utility, easy to learn, and easy to remember how to use. So let's jump over to, you guys see that okay? You need it bigger. Bigger? Okay, I think some of you in the back wanted bigger. How's that? Good? All right. So some of these are going to be pretty self-evident. Some of them are probably a little more expansive than you will initially think. So let's go through each of them really quickly, because I find that you tend to pick up on what you mean by them pretty quickly. Applying them, that's another question. All right, effective to use, also sometimes called effectiveness. It is a very general goal that refers to how good a product is at doing what it's supposed to do. One of the things you actually find is that a lot of the other usability goals that we talk about really do fall under effectiveness. They are components of effectiveness. Now, it's a very easy to understand definition, right? Is that a yes? Okay, yes. Okay, good. Now, it gets a little more difficult when it comes to trying to apply it. So what I also did was I included in here some of the questions you may want to ask when you are looking to look at things like, what is the effectiveness? So effectiveness: is the product capable of allowing people to learn, carry out their work efficiently, access the information they need, or buy the goods that they want? Now, if I'm asking you to apply this, which of those is going to be more useful for you, the first bullet or the second bullet? The second bullet. When it comes to applying it, much, much more useful. Now, why am I pointing this out? So that you know that. But also because most of the time in a course like this, what do you get? The first bullet or the second bullet? The first bullet. What do we do in design a lot of times? We do something like the first bullet. So things that are obvious and common sense and logical, but not so easy to apply. Efficient to use. Oh, efficient for the user. See if you see that typo. So, efficiency. How effective is the way the product supports users in carrying out their tasks? For example, does it involve as few easy-to-follow steps as is needed? Again, common sense. Let's take a look at our question. Once users have learned to use a product to carry out their tasks, can they sustain a high level of productivity? Can they be efficient? Or do they have to do 10 clicks where 2 would have sufficed? Do they have to type in words where a drop-down would have been more accurate and faster? How efficient is it? Is the flow efficient? Do they have to go flipping between pages, or does the system take them from one section to another in the manner that a user thinks of those things? Not in the manner that the computer processes it, in the manner that we process the information. Safe to use. This one's pretty obvious at first. Protecting the user from harm, physical harm, financial harm, psychological harm, etc. So here's the question. What is the range or errors that are possible using the product, and what measures are there to permit users to recover easily from them? Now, I want you to give me some examples of safety that you would think about when you're designing a product.
Display's not too bright.
The display's not too bright. It's not going to hurt your eyes. You're designing a display. What else?
Sharp edges.
Sharp edges. Right, especially if you're clumsy like me and you walk into everything. Oh, I didn't tell you I was clumsy. I'm very, very not clumsy. What else?
Small parts.
Small parts. They're easy to use and easy to swallow if you have a child or a pet. More so pets, who think everything's delicious. If it's, yeah, so does it break easily?
Make sure that the electrical part of the equipment works properly.
Make sure the electrical part of the equipment works properly. We don't want to go electrocuting anyone. What else?
Weight of an object.
The weight of an object.
Financially, security, make sure all the information is secure.
Financial security. In fact, the answers I've been getting is actually very typical. First, we tend to think about physical safety. But what about safety when it comes to our digital products? So, banking on the phone, banking online, using your credit card when you are purchasing something online. That's all involves safety. So digitally, anything else when it comes to safety?
Privacy.
Privacy. What's happening to your information? Who's using it? I'm sorry? Well, yes, we know the NSA does now, unfortunately. Oh, wait, sorry, I don't give political opinions in this class. But we do need to be careful about privacy.
Accessibility, if you have a child where they use the product to go to where, psychological.
So psychological harm, accessibility. So do you want your child to be able to go to porn sites by accident? Or even on purpose if they're older. Right? In fact, my favorite example of this was, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. I had a very, very sweet, innocent, brilliant intern who was working for me for the summer. And it just so happened, I don't even remember what the project was, but we needed to get some information from the White House. So I told her, go to the White House website and pull this information from me. Who knows what whitehouse.com, I don't know if it still is because I haven't looked, what whitehouse.com at least used to be. Yeah, it used to be a porn site. Next thing I know, my poor intern is coming into my office with eyes this big. I think I'm at the wrong site. Oh, yeah. It's whitehouse.gov, not whitehouse.com. Be careful of such things. So safety such as those things. So we need to really think about these things. Things like data loss. How many of you have been writing a paper in the middle of the night because it's due at 6 o'clock in the morning? You finish, you're thrilled, and your hard drive crashes. It is a physical crash, so you have now lost everything. I know it's horrible. Don't tell me that happened in this class. I'll know it's because I gave you the excuse. Back up everything. So those sorts of things. A lot of times the things when it comes to safety, we think about physical safety, we want to remember the other aspects of safety, including things like scams. Right? Because there are things that we can do to help protect our users against scams. All right, having good utility. The product provides the right kind of function that the user needs. Utility function. Excuse me. So does the product provide an appropriate set of functions that will enable users to carry out their tasks in the way that they want them to? Now that sounds really obvious, right?
Is that why, like, online when you want to make a purchase, they start doing, you put your item in the shopping cart and then you check out? That's kind of how you do it physically?
That is how we tend to do it physically, and that's how we tend to think about it, yes. So that is a parallel that we made from the physical world to the digital world, which works sometimes, and sometimes doesn't work. But a lot of times, it does make it easier for users when they're making that transition. As we'll talk about later in the semester, what a lot of times will happen is that you'll make a parallel situation in the digital world, and then you just enhance the functionality after that. Sometimes you don't want to do that, but we'll get to that later in the semester. All right, easy to learn. How easy is the system to learn how to use? We all want something that's easy to learn how to use, right? Sounds really obvious. Is it possible for the user to work out how to use the product by exploring the interface and trying out certain actions? Now, why do you think I worded the question that way? How many people, yeah, go ahead. That's what everyone does. When you get a new software product, how often do you go and start reading the help? Yeah, no. Does anyone start reading the help? Yeah, no. So if it's easy to learn, you actually need to put that functionality into the design because we don't like reading. Yes?
Sometimes they put tutorials, like, oh, are you ready to start a tutorial, and you still skip it.
Yeah, so that's one of the things they're doing more and more often now is they give you the option of a tutorial. Some tutorials are better than others. But actually, next class, I'm going to show you an example that's actually an excellent example of very, very quickly helping someone learn how to use something, use a product. It's also a very fun example. I'll leave you in suspense over the weekend. How hard will it be to learn the whole set of functions? Now, here's the thing about something that's easy to learn, is that you often have to balance it out with other aspects such as safety, such as efficiency, and memorability, which is how easy is it to remember. How easy is it to remember how to use a product once learned? So what kinds of interface support have been provided to help users remember how to carry out tasks, especially for products and operations they frequently use? So in this, again, we need to look at what are our propensities. What do we tend to remember? What do we tend to forget? With a product, how often are we using that product? What functions are we using it? Those sorts of things. All right, I'm going to stop here. Don't forget to go ahead and do your forum posts. Remember, with your usability goals, they need to be explicit. And on Tuesday, we will be talking about design principles. I hope you have a fabulous weekend.